Hey, how's it going? I'm Zero.
I'm DK.
And I'm Rizzo.
And this is Otaku Saga Talks,
where we talk about the good,
the bad,
and the otaku.
This time, we're talking about the good, the bad, and the otaku of anime in general.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. It's just our opinion.
Yep.
What we find good in anime, what we find bad in anime.
And downright ugly.
And downright ugly in anime.
So let's start off with probably something that all three of us can agree on: the different archetypes of characters.
Okay.
Because I think one thing that can really bolster an anime is its characters.
Yeah, to be completely honest, like the number one thing that I look for in an anime is good characters.
Okay.
Honestly, for me, even like I watch a lot of slice of lives, and for the most part, those series are based solely on characters.
Very character-driven, based on character development and interactions between characters.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of relationship building, a lot of the day-to-day interactions. Like webbound working.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a very, very character-driven story. Another one we're watching this season is Sangatsu no Lion, which is very character-driven. In fact,
both of those
pretty much nothing else goes on in that series.
Yeah, and I have to agree. Both of those series have great cast of characters, but for entirely different reasons. With Webbomb Working, it continues that sort of the working tradition, as it were, that the interactions between all the characters is just so toxic. I mean, yeah, there's just a whole lot of like bad karma and everything, but it's so enjoyable. It's almost like a reality show, but not as annoying.
It's a workplace comedy.
Very much so, yeah. Whereas with Sangatsu no Lion, every individual character has, this may sound a bit strange, but an excruciatingly deep backstory. Particularly in, like, say, Ray's case, it's kind of painful to watch, but I'm kind of glad it's there. Because it gives him just so much depth and does a good job of explaining why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
But that extends to the rest of the cast, too.
Mm-hmm. And then another one that's really good with characters this season is Girlish Number as well. But for that one, it's the writing style of the author to have really, really deep characters and to have really, really good dialogue, which is another one of my criteria for a good anime. Is I want to have good dialogue where, you know, you get like in Girlish Number, you get the kind of snappy back and forth like between Chitose and Gojo, her brother, and just a little bit on the toxic side.
Toxic, yeah, and of course, once again, Wataru's snark comes through, and then that toxicity as well.
Yeah, all the characters are kind of bastards in their own way.
They are, yeah. They're all flawed. I guess to put it more nicely.
Yeah.
I think as you look around our sets, we're surrounded by amazing characters, with the exception of two.
Who would those be?
These two. And that's only because and then Asuna can be included.
Number 3, I think. Black Star is a whiny little bitch.
And that's only because they weren't really dove into. I mean, I'm certain that there was hints here and there about Lisbeth and having at least some sort of subplot. You know, there was hints there.
Some sort of saving grace.
They never even attempted to touch up on it.
Yeah. As far as like Sword Art Online goes, it's one of my really bad points for the series is that the characters aren't all that great. Like they're not really deep. pretty much anybody except for the two characters who are the main focus of the story are literal cardboard cutouts.
That's true, and well, yeah, before people even say anything, that's not always Kirito and Asuna. It's Kirito and whoever is kind of in his bubble, as it were, for that arc.
Yeah. Well, so like you get a lot of Kirito and Asuna. You get, during the Phantom Bullet arc, you get a lot of Kirito and Sinon.
For sure, yeah.
But even so, like in the first part of SAO for the actual, Sword Art Online part, when it introduces Silica or it introduces Lisbeth, they get a very good focus on them for that episode, and then they get nothing else.
I think what SAO did, the first part of SAO, Sword Art Online, actually in NCRAD, the game Sword Art Online.
Right, in the death game.
The character development that's in there at the beginning was fantastic. Kirito had a lot going for him. Asuna had a lot going for her. And then you had this nice little eclectic group of people who were, the support cast, and they were a decent support cast. But as you go on in the series, all of that kind of just becomes cardboard.
Yeah, it's like, again, I talk about this like bubble, that Kirito has around him. And I think you wrote a blog article about it in the past, didn't you, Rizzo?
Yeah.
Where the author kind of focused in on the inter-character relationship between Kirito and kind of the flavor of the week, really. And that's kind of how it went for a bulk of the story, where everyone else is just like a spectator.
I think that what everybody neglects to remember is at the very beginning, the relationship wasn't made yet. When you're going with this flavor of the week thing, yeah, you met Asuna in the second episode, and then you met Sachi in the third, and then you met Lisbeth in the fourth, or then you met Silica in the fourth, Lisbeth in the fifth, and I think she continued on with the sixth, and then you get into Asuna, and then you really get just deep into it. And when you get past that point and you get really into Kirito and Asuna's story, that's a fantastic piece of work. I mean, in my eyes.
Like how when it starts focusing on them building their relationship with each other. Again, it does a good job on those too.
It's not necessarily that I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's when it takes a step back later in the series. Yep. And like for the Phantom Bullet arc, where it turns Asuna into a cardboard cutout.
Yep.
That's where I start having issues. Like it's fine to start taking focus away from some of the side characters when it gets into the Asuna part, but then to basically turn all of your side characters into nothing.
But another thing I think we have to remember, that is more of a directorial decision. It's not a knock against Asuna or Elizabeth or Silica as characters themselves.
Possibly.
It's more about that. In that case, it's more about how they're used in the story.
But that's why I really like Kirito. I really like Asuna. They're probably one of my favorite characters. Really relatable to me. I mean, there's other characters that I'm surrounded by that I thoroughly enjoy that just makes characters awesome. Vash, amazing character. A lot of depth. A lot of
hell of a backstory, for sure. Especially if you read the manga. But
Ryoko, fantastic character.
Ryoko.
Most of our figurines.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. It's it's kind of a.
I do say most because there are a couple that are more or less there for fun.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be.
Usually, like when I buy figurines, because I do buy so few of them, there's usually a reason why I bought that particular figurine.
Yep.
Well, a big reason I'd imagine is you like the character I mean, maybe not from like a storytelling point of view all the time. Not to point any fingers in my own case, but
those are exactly the ones that I'm talking about. I mean, they're more. I mean, Asuka wasn't the deepest of characters.
I was talking about Yamato, but okay. I mean, she's
Actually, I thought Asuka was actually a quite deep character.
I'll say Evangelion. You want a deep story, deep characters, and everything. Ouch.
Yeah, I suppose. I hated Asuka.
I never said the characters were good,
Or I would,
but
if
they were really deep, and you really explored their motivations.
Well, if Asuka was an actual person, I wouldn't like her. But there are people like that in real life, and that was excellently portrayed in Evangelion, I think. So that could still be a good character, even though I mean they're like the last person I'd want to like chill with or date or any have any sort of relationship with in real life.
Yep.
So again, I guess you got to be like careful not to let that kind of color your opinion of a character or something.
Another good character-driven anime, One Punch Man.
Interesting choice.
I say that because
It's more the side characters that drive that story.
Yes.
It really is. Yeah.
Saitama himself is definitely an inspiring character. He's a very amusing character, and it's an interesting choice for a main character because he's more or less nonchalant about anything.
It reminds me kind of a Taoist saying. You set spokes within a wheel, but it's the emptiness of the hub which makes them useful. Saitama is the sort of the center of the One Punch Man universe because there's not a whole lot going for him. It's everything that happens around him and all the characters around him that would make it a character-driven story, I think.
You were saying?
Sorry.
I don't consider Saitama that main of a character in that story, surprisingly. I consider more Genos to be the real main character.
Okay.
But that's because like stuff just happens to Saitama. Like stuff happens, he punches it, he goes home.
Except for the mosquito.
He slaps it.
Right.
But One Punch Man sounds better than One Slap Man.
Well, the mosquito.
Or One Nap Man.
He still couldn't beat the mosquito. That wasn't amazing.
Oh, not the mosquito lady, the actual mosquito.
Yes, the mosquito.
Okay.
Mosquitoes suck.
That they do, yes.
But I mean, Saitama himself, he's still a decently made character, I think. Because of the way that he's brought up and the way that he really interacts with everybody else.
I think he's an embodiment or maybe a parody of the typical like shonen action anime hero. I mean, he has a sort of simplistic like outlook on life, sort of optimism that a lot of heroes have, and again, just OP as hell.
Well, that's why I say that he's more of the inspiring type of character that I enjoy.
I do agree though with Rizzo's point that stuff happens to him, and again, reiterating the point that stuff happens around him. And then he just changes the course of events just by punching some things and then going home.
Pretty much. But as far as like One Punch Man goes, that kind of brings me to my third point that I find really good in series, which is when they use humor well.
Okay.
There are examples of using humor really poorly. Hatsukoi Monster Hatsukoi Monster falls directly under the ugly category for me.
Yep.
I don't think it was funny. I think it was just stupid. Honestly.
Well, they tried to use humor, and for me personally, it just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean,
It was too cringy.
trying to have what were clearly like high school or adult men, literally acting like elementary school students. I felt it was an insult to whatever intelligence I have. It was just stupid. It wasn't remotely funny at all. Yeah, that is downright ugly comedy, in my opinion as well.
But yeah, whereas like something that we're watching this season that uses comedy really well, Web Bomb Working.
Okay.
Is an excellent workplace comedy. But even stuff where it has comedy that, interjected in, like say Bungo Stray Dogs or Drifters.
Yeah, it's not...
those two series, they use small bits of comedy to bring a little bit of levity to the serious situation that's going on.
And they do it well. I mean, the jokes are, they're pretty well timed. And it's a very smooth transition from serious to, those comedic moments.
On the other side of that topic, a character that I think doesn't fit that very well is Black Star. Black Star interjects a weird version of comedy that just really breaks things down, at least in my opinion.
It's almost like Hatsukoi Monster in a way. They try to set Black Star up as a butt monkey, just with his stupid antics, but it just ends up being stupid and not funny.
Yep.
Yeah. And actually, kind of a split to what I was talking about with like Bungo Stray Dogs and Drifters, like where they have those quick interjections of comedy that are used well. A series that we watched last season, Taboo Tattoo, attempted to do the same thing, but in my opinion, it never really worked for me.
The transition between the comedic and the dramatic wasn't nearly as smooth as it is in Drifters, or
I think it was that it was less well timed, and a lot of the jokes fell flat for me.
Yeah.
I think what could have made that better was an art transition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like I know that people may think that Drifters is polarizing when it comes to that art direction, because it's so weird to have this interjection of comedy in this completely different art style.
It's really like rough, just flat 2D, just and very surreal art style.
But you see that in other things that work very well. It happens in Bungo Stray Dogs.
Yeah, they use a very almost chibi-esque art style for it.
It happens in Shokugeki no Soma.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic...
Used a great effect in that one.
Used an absolutely amazing effect. And, if Taboo Tattoo, the comedy was all with the exact same art style, and because of that, you couldn't tell where it was serious, where serious transitioned into comedy, transitioning back and whatnot.
And when the jokes fall flat, it just takes away value from the story as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay, it's actually interesting that you can sort of associate that. You can associate your funny moments with certain art style and then have it just flow right.
Yeah. And that's actually a really awesome key thing that I think turns a good anime into, in my opinion, a great anime.
Actually, I kind of agree with on that. For me, what makes a great anime, or even just a good anime, it has to do a lot with how you feel about it, how you feel watching it, and so on and so forth. Because, I mean, one of the things I look for in an anime, and this may sound strange, but is its personality. One little thing that kind of sticks out, perhaps from other similar titles, or something that just connects with you. And another thing I look for is just how it makes you feel, before you watch it, after you watch it, whether you anticipate watching it every week, or what goes on in an episode, how it makes you feel afterwards. So again, using the comedy example in Bungo Stray Dogs and Drifters, you feel as if you transition, like through the seriousness, through the gag, back into the seriousness, and you're just kind of flowing with it. Whereas in Taboo Tattoo, it's kind of like you feel like you're going through stop and go traffic with it. You don't know exactly how to deal.
It's actually a very, very interesting way to put that. And then the other thing that goes along with that is when that changes. While we're discussing what we're talking about today, you mentioned blue gender.
Yeah.
Now, blue gender, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I remember the first half very fondly. And as you'll see why we're talking about this, the back half, not so much. But that first half, I remember, and I loved it. I was excited to watch the next episode and see if they survive and stuff like that. Same thing with SAO. I mean, when I first started out, I was like, yeah, this is fucking awesome.
The first half of the first season was very gripping.
Yeah. I was excited to watch it.
Except maybe like 1 or 2 episodes.
Well, using those examples, Blue Gender and SAO both, I mean, you come into it, well, Blue Gender, the first half, post-apocalyptic situation in the future, people are just trying to survive. SAO, they're caught in a death game, people are just trying to survive. You have a chance to kind of start to relate, in a sense, kind of feel sorry for the characters in their situation, sympathize with them, empathize with them, and kind of create that bond with the character, which makes it enjoyable.
And then halfway through, it's all thrown out the window. Yeah. And it interjected with something completely different that just snaps the series and literally in half.
Some Blue Gender, I guess when they reach the space station, right? It starts becoming more like backstabbing, political intrigue, sort of.
Well, yeah, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's a whole nother conflict, and he just doesn't feel the same. And then same with SAO.
But other things that really made me feel good, Tanaka-kun.
Yeah.
Tanaka-kun, every time we got, like, Tanaka-kun, when that was coming out, was our palate cleanser. Like,
it really was, yeah. I mean, actually,
every week we had so many things going on.
What were some other titles that came out that same season? Because there was a reason it was the palate cleanser for us.
Oh, that was spring, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So we had titles like Kisniver, Big Order came out that season.
Katetsuja no Kabaneri.
Sase no
Joker
Myoji,
Game.
Joker Game.
Yeah.
ReZero.
Monster.
I mean, we had a lot of more heavier Mayoiga.
We had a pretty good glut of kind of heavier titles.
Yep.
So
at the end of the week, we looked forward to Tanaka-kun because it was just
so relaxing.
so
it really
relaxing.
was, yeah.
That and playing Witch.
Well, fine, yeah, both of them were very relaxed, but
so relaxing and funny.
And the interesting thing is the way that it was funny. It wasn't like. I think that there's a couple little facets of comedy. You have really funny, like Shimonetta.
okay, really kind of over the top, out there.
Riotously funny.
Yeah.
Or Nambaka.
It is designed.
Or Nambaka.
Just like over the top, almost kind of slapstick.
It's designed as a comedy. You know, it's all about slapstick and stuff like that. But Tanaka-kun and Flying Witch, it's more of the everyday funny.
Well, yeah, it has that. They are both slice of life series. So instead of like kind of tailored, designed gags, you get a collection of funny moments.
Well, even with Slice of Life series, when you compare Flying Witch to Working, the comedies are completely different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, the different facets of comedy that I enjoy. I'm not the most favorite of the working comedy. Like that's not my top favorite. At the very bottom is the cringe comedy like Hatsukoi Monster, and for me the parodies, the parody comedies like Shingeki Kyojin,
Jigako.
Jigako. Yeah. that one I didn't enjoy.
Okay. Because it takes away your enjoyment of, say, the original work.
Yeah.
In that case, I'd imagine.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was just, the comedy was weird to me. Like, it just didn't click to me.
Yeah. Whereas with me, I enjoy the parodies to a point. As far as like Shingeki Kyojin Chugako went, I started to get annoyed by it partway through because, like say, one of my favorite comedy anime ever, which is School Rumble, has a lot of points where it does parodies of certain things, but it's not like the entire premise of the show.
Okay.
So I like parodies, but it's more like to a point.
Well, in that case, if it's just like, say, a one-off gag in an episode, like in a recent episode of Nambaka, episode 5, I believe, where Nico, spoiler alert by the way, parodies, I forgot exactly what it was called, but basically Domon's ultimate attack from G Gundam, complete with like a little King of Hearts insignia on his fist. That is a one-off gag, but you're not going to make an entire anime kind of. Well, actually, they did make an entire anime kind of parrying that in SD Gundam, but again, it's not nearly as enjoyable because of that.
I think SD kind of flopped.
Because it wore the joke thin.
Yep.
I mean, how many times can you say, "Why did the chicken cross the road?" Well, the original joke itself is not as funny because it has been done to death and back.
Another interesting comedy that made us feel pretty good about it. What was it, Kokaku no Pandora? Was that the name of it?
I think so.
Kokaku no Pandora. I think you're right. Pandora and the Crimson Shell.
Yeah.
So like Ghost in the Shell spin-off, the creator of that and the creator of Excel Saga.
Yeah, that ought to tell you all that you need to know right there.
Its comedy was fantastic.
Its comedy was funny, but for me...
Right, but
there was other things bad to it, but its comedy was pretty good.
I think it had its moments.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that we can go ahead and move on to kind of some of the bad things, since we've been touching on them a lot.
We've been kind of jumping around.
Yeah.
You know how we do.
So for me, part of the reason why I really did not enjoy Kokaku no Pandora, or why I don't enjoy Flip Flappers, series like that. I don't enjoy series when they dip into the surreal too much. Sometimes it's okay, like to tell a story or to make a certain analogy or something like that. But when it's basically the entire premise of the series, it gets to be a little bit too much. Like basically the reason why, even though I enjoy Excel Saga to a point, it's definitely not one of my favorites.
Okay.
It dips into the surreal just far too often.
You like to come back down from the acid trip eventually.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And then another thing that I don't particularly care for is the Yuri-esque main girls, like in Flip Flappers or Kokaku no Pandora. It just, I don't like that. Like I don't enjoy that character dynamic at all. So when you have the main characters like that, it just kind of turns me off to the series.
And it has done quite a fair bit.
It's a very common, setup, character setup.
Cliche almost. I mean, a good load of like magical girl anime in the past like decade goes exactly that route.
Yeah.
But
Much.
Okay.
And then my final point that I really, really don't like that can turn anime sour very quickly for me is politics. I hate politics in real life. I don't want it in my fiction.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I agree as well.
There are some times when it's done well,
Gate.
Yeah.
Gate, in my opinion, does a magnificent job of portraying what would happen in the realm of geopolitics if a country discovered a fantasy world and had access to it, had sole access to it, put it that way.
But to be fair, the politics part of that show is still my least favorite part of that show.
And it's overshadowed by awesome action, both military and fantasy combat action, and a great, a pretty good cast of characters, and they interact each other in a very good way as well. I think that all overshadows that.
There's a decent set of other things that counterbalance the plot, or counterbalance the politics, politics aspect of it. Another one that you mentioned that had good politics, Shimoneta.
Yeah, Shimoneta, I find that the politics are worked well into the series because it gives the character something to fight against.
Yeah, it sets up a really good conflict, and the way they go about it, it just makes it funny.
It gives you a really, really good antagonist to hate.
I think the same case can be said for Rocket Aikishi, to a point.
Episode 11?
Yeah. But I mean, I still want to say to a point, because the politics in there were still sometimes can be cringe-worthy.
Yeah,
very annoying.
It was by far my least favorite part of that series.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that the politics in that series really kind of lowered my overall score of the series, I guess.
Well, I mean, it is kind of an annoying trope when you have someone in a position of authority just being so damn petty as that guy, and I guess the association is to Icky, because they don't want him leading the family because reasons. They don't even really give a good reason for that either, other than he's just the redheaded stepchild of the family. What the hell?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, examples like that could turn, I guess, that plot element, the politicking and whatnot, could push that into the bad and ugly camps, as it were.
Yeah, that's why I say to a point, because the use of politics as an antagonist was pretty good.
Okay.
I say pretty good, but at the same time, that the way that they made the politics the antagonist, like fighting against the politics is cool.
Yeah, against the authority.
Making the politics the way that they did was ugly. Making bad things just to make them bad, like because I say so.
Basically making, like in the case of Rocket Aikishi no Cavalry, having them be able to basically cheat. Because, I mean, they kept him in captivity, in isolation, made sure that he was tired all the time, never got proper rest or anything.
Yeah.
That all the other competitors were allowed to have.
Just to try.
Yeah, just because they wanted him to lose.
They want to cheat him out of a title.
Because they wanted
whatever.
to save face.
Yeah. And all this kind of resentment for that, again, it's how the anime makes you feel. And sort of also comes from like a sense of escapism that you want from an anime. Trying to get more into more of a root issue here. Like, say, when it comes to escapism, I've said it before, I forget which episode of Anime Reaction, but all art in essence is escapism. And like all things, too much or too little can be bad. So, like, say when Rizzo, you're talking about a surreal series, like say your Flip Flappers, or another one that both of you guys didn't like a lot, Concrete Revolutio. That's a good example of too much. The sort of like thing, series that kind of delve into or have a plot element centered around like politicking and stuff like that. well, it reflects the real world a little too much. That you don't kind of want that. You watch anime to kind of escape the worries of the real world.
Let me go through some more points of politics.
Okay.
Sources marking.
Sources marking
That was depressing.
annoys the crap out of me because of the situation that they're in. And this also goes back to Blue Gender too.
Okay.
It's very much the same to me.
Actually, Shorts Markin, Blue Gender, Attack on Titan, Fist of the North Star, if you want to go back. A lot of like...
a lot of the Gundam series too.
A lot of the Gundam. Okay, yeah.
Are like this. This is part of the reason why I never really liked Gundam that much. It's... Okay, so humanity's put in this situation, or this section of humanity, if we're talking about Gundam.
Right.
But, you're put in this situation where, basically the entire race could get easily wiped out. And you want to, do backroom deals and backstabbing and, just dumb shit.
Okay.
Or in the case of Blue Gender, I think they ended up, I guess, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it and you were planning on it, even though the series is 20 years old at this point. Actually, probably not quite that old, but it's pretty old. They end up having a civil war and blowing up everybody on Second Earth, except for the main two characters who escape back to Earth.
It's pretty ridiculous.
That's pretty ridiculous.
It's dumb. It's dumb. It's so dumb. Schwarzesmarken, that is dumb, the way that they do it. It's okay, we're up against this, alien force that we can't really go against that well, but let's go ahead and sabotage one of the best units that we have to fight against them because politics.
And also you kind of brought up Gundam, and as a recent Gundam fanboy, I have to sort of defend its honor here. One of the main themes of the entire Gundam saga is to kind of portray the horrors of war. So it's supposed to show all that shit in a bad light. And with a couple of series in particular, say 0080 War in the Pocket, it does that to magnificent effect. But anyway, Schwarzesmarken, no excuse.
Another thing, we said it before. Because I say so, easily turns a decent anime into a bad or an ugly one.
Or it turns an antagonist character into just a 2-bit tyrant.
Yep.
It makes them a cardboard cutout. Or I guess more accurately, a D&D figurine. Here's your boss. Yada yada, can dialogue, kill him.
But one anime that is in the bad or ugly side of this, Active Raid. Because I say so, it is the reason why I can't stand that anime.
Yeah, so the politicking in that anime is really, really bad. Very borderline ugly. It's, okay, so this is the worst unit, but we're not really showing any reason why they're the worst unit.
They're just the worst because
the worst because reasons. And then every episode, they manage to diffuse a situation that nobody else could. And then one bad thing happens from it, and they get blamed for that, but they don't also get
get credit for what they did, right?
Yeah, they don't get credit for what they did, and they do it. We didn't watch that much of it, but they did it every single episode, just like that.
I think we dropped it after episode 4.
I think it was 5.
Or 5, the idol episode.
Yeah, the idol episode.
Yeah, that's just.
Yeah, and then you start getting into the ridiculousness.
But you still have that.
The anime as a whole.
But yeah, you still have that. Yeah, you still have that kind of rule in the world that they have to take the flack and they get none of the credit, even though they do all the work.
Yeah.
I think we can get off of politics real quick, and I wanted to mention something. The apparent genres of an anime can really make or break it, right?
So by apparent genres, what do you mean?
I mean, when you think of Assassination Classroom.
Okay. School, comedy, action.
Genres are very apparent, and they are clearly there in every episode.
Okay.
Right? And if action is not always there in the episode,
You get the other two for sure.
you get the other two, and then you know that the action's gonna come out later.
Okay.
Right? High School Fleet. It's in the tag. It's in the title.
High School Fleet.
High school girls, naval fleet.
And that's what you get.
Boom. High footy.
Right. For me, it is why I am enjoying Flip Flappers, because it is apparent. It was apparent in the promotional art.
Okay.
It was apparent in the synopsis. It is a surreal comedy. Not supposed to be taken very seriously at all.
Yep, surreal comedy, couple magical girls. There you go.
It's like Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. Dimension W. Yeah, it was a very strong, apparent genres. They were always prominently there. They didn't try to interject a bunch of comedy just for the sake of comedy.
Very much a sci-fi action series.
Yeah. All the way through.
All right.
On the other side of that, when I say big order, what's big order to you? Action.
A hot mess.
A steaming hot pile of mess. Because like the tags that are given to us are action, supernatural, and
Or superpowers.
superpower.
Right.
Actually, I did say supernatural too. But it had those three. But on top of it, it also attempted to make harems.
It tries to wedge in extra genres.
It tried to wedge in comedy.
Okay. I get your point here.
It tried to do so many different things that it completely failed in everything.
Okay. I definitely see your point. You tried to add too much for it and it just collapsed and ran itself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, here comes one thing, the reason why I would put Big Order into the ugly category. Poorly executed Deus Ex Machina. The end of Big Order.
Oh god, yeah.
Like, they set up this whole big thing, end of the world, and then suddenly they're powerful enough to dispel the giant thing, god creature coming out of the portal, and everything's right with the world.
With not even as much of an explanation, it's pretty much just end scene and then you're at the cafe.
Yeah.
Swept under the rug.
Not even, just like a quick kick to the side.
Yeah. That was terrible.
That was a horrible ending.
Yeah. Yeah, like just terrible endings.
But it starts becoming bad, I believe. It starts with the interjection of so many different concepts that fit nowhere into it.
That focus episode with EO, I think was her name.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when it started going downhill.
Because you start getting interjections
So that was
of...
what, episode 4?
Yeah. You start getting interjections of comedy, of harem-esque things, romance, things that don't fit into action, supernatural, or superpower anime.
Yeah, it starts to stray from the formula that got us interested in it.
Yep.
Okay.
Another one that fits that perfectly, Amanchu.
Now, Amanchu is more of like a subject thing, not as much a genre. But yeah, I mean, you read the synopsis, and you're expecting an anime about scuba diving. When I first heard of K-On! Before I watched it for the first time, okay, girls in high school form a band. They did.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
I mean, yeah, they like to slack around,
yeah,
but
most of the episodes is them slacking off and having fun.
having played in a failed garage band, I can attest that's exactly how it goes.
Right.
You spend a lot of time, just goofing around, and then maybe you have like a crappy jam session, then you call it a day. That's what they did in K-On! And next thing you know, they had a couple concerts.
Yeah,
even.
and that's fine. Or like Bakuon, where
Great
you get,
example
you read the synopsis, you expect, girls in a motorcycle club in school riding motorcycles, talking about motorcycles, and that's pretty much what you get.
Yeah, and then you get the cherry on top of them washing the motorcycles. So
Yeah, or one that's going on this season, Long Riders.
Okay, well,
It's a anime about girls in a university bicycle club, I guess.
all right, so they're just annoying people who ought to be run over. Gotcha. but yeah,
But that's what you get.
That's what you get
so far. I only watched a couple episodes of it so far, but that's basically what you're getting.
they drove it home in those episodes we watched so far.
With a Manchu,
Forget it. Nope. Yeah,
like when I read the synopsis, I was expecting scuba diving, like lots of scuba diving.
at least like 10 of the episodes they'd be underwater, in ocean.
Yeah,
That's what I expected.
At least for parts of the episode, you get nice underwater shots, just beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
That's not what you get.
No, not at all.
You
For
get
most of the series, that's not what you get at all.
I think scuba diving was actually, or some form of preparing for scuba diving happened in 4 episodes.
And only touched up on lightly.
And only touched up on lightly. The only real episode with any scuba diving in it was the last episode. Other than that, you might as well have just said that it was like a shoujo slice of life.
Yeah, they might as well have done that. I mean, they were able to dedicate an episode to the fucking cat. What the hell? Major disappointment, and very, a butt ugly example of an anime trying to stick to its intended subject.
Yeah, Active Raid again.
Okay.
You couldn't figure out what it actually was. It said that it was an action.
Yeah, action, police mecha action. Well, to be fair, you did get a bit of that. But again, that was ugly for the different reasons we listed previously, I think.
Yeah.
But overall, you couldn't actually figure out what it was trying to do.
At least up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, though. Actually, the intro of the first episode went at about 1 trillion miles an hour. That was kind of hard to process. And you think that Occultic 9 was hard to follow. The intro to the first episode, I think it did in the second episode too. I don't know if it kept up through the whole series. But trying to keep up with that intro for Active Raid was just...
Yeah, it flopped.
It'll overheat your
fast.
mind. And that series got 2 seasons? There is no God.
Another one that got 2 seasons, that's probably gonna get 2 seasons. Ange Verge.
No.
Ange Verge's Blu-ray sales beat out a ton
Of the other series.
In that season.
Once more for emphasis.
I can only chalk it up to desperate virgins.
Desperate Otaku Virgins.
Ouch.
Um,
Wizards.
and it's,
Pretty much, yeah.
it's another case of, what you saw on the tag was, I think it was ecchi action comedy.
I'm not sure if it actually had an ecchi tag. Hang on.
Adventure Fantasy Magic School.
Adventure Fantasy Magic School. We only watched 2 episodes.
We saw none of that.
No adventure. I could see fantasy and magic actually.
Yeah, Fantasy Magic School. Maybe that's
No
sort of
adventure.
Magic High School combat
Fantasy
thing.
magic, okay. School, not really. That's not a school.
That's not a school.
That's more of like a military facility.
It's more of a nudist colony from what we've seen.
Right, yeah, it's more of a nudist colony that also doubles as a military training facility.
And at the same time, it is
Way
trying
too much
to...
jiggling.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much other things going on, and then the horrible fan service that was injected all over the place.
Something that reminds me of the fan service in Ange Vierge, and what little we saw of it, was the second promotional event for the Anime and Girlish number. All they did was take the lackluster PV and add a fan servicing to it. There's your anime. And I have to address the elephant in the room right now. Ange Verge, ugly uses of fan service.
Yeah.
Downright ugly.
Yeah, this falls under my ugly category. Poor use of fan service, like just bad fan service.
Piss poor use.
I'm talking Ange Verge. I'm talking Aiken. No, I'm not even sure that you could call that fan service. I'm talking, honestly, Triage X and even High School of the Dead. I liked High School of the Dead, but that's because the story managed to get me past the bad fan service.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, if you take away, I forget the author's name, but if you take away his tendency to equate boob size with character importance, I think that there's still enjoyable action stories, you know, girls with guns and all that stuff, or if you like tone down the ranks of the girls of High School of the Dead, Psycho just going psycho.
Well, no, like
awesome
High School of the Dead would be a really good, post-apocalyptic zombie story.
Yeah.
It's just the ridiculousness of the fan service kind of, pushes it into ridiculousness at certain points. I'm talking booby bullet time.
Booby bullet time.
That panty shot, though.
Also, if they twist sideways enough to allow, that would hurt.
They would tear off.
Yeah. How? I mean, they go a full 90 degrees in that scene.
Ridiculous fan service, and it makes the anime, it pushes it into bad territory. It's one of those anime that, yeah, I enjoyed it, and like I enjoyed the manga until the author stopped writing it. But it's not something that I could recommend to anybody because I'm like, well, the fan service is ridiculous.
I can't recommend it to people now because my man boobs hurt thinking about that booby bullet time.
Right? Or, the Testament of the Sister New Devil. That was ridiculous fan service and oftentimes unnecessary. And it makes the series bad, I think.
It attempted to outplay High School DxD.
I agree. I think it tried to knock off High School DxD and its popularity.
It's straight up a knockoff, but in attempting to outplay it, you ruined it.
Yeah.
It's like Chinese knockoff sunglasses. They're not just as well made, even though they look the exact same on the surface. It just breaks more easily.
Yep. But as far as like High School DxD goes, that is actually, I would consider that a example of still bad fan service, but it's not ugly fan service.
Okay.
It's bad, but it's still passable enough that the story comes through underneath.
I was like, well, we've said it before. I mean, if you take the fan service out of High School DxD, it's still a nice story.
Yeah.
It's still an enjoyable, supernatural, action, packed story.
And I implore people to read the novels for that because obviously in novel format there's a lot less fan service.
Actually,
and the story, comes through better.
Actually, I think the same could be said of Testament of the Sister New Devil, or however.
Probably. I mean, to be honest. But I can almost guarantee that they were thinking of Blu-ray sales when they made that anime.
Yeah.
Just like Ange Verge, they were thinking of Blu-ray sales.
Well, they certainly succeeded, and because they succeeded, things that were in that season, like let's see what else was in there. Let's see, it beat out Qualidea Code, so I've heard. It beat out. Go down. Alderman on the Sky. I'm fairly certain that because Ange Verge and Alderman on the Sky were in the same season, and Ange Verge beat the crap out of everybody here for DVD sales, Alderman on the Sky might not get a second season.
And it totally deserves it.
Totally deserves it.
Totally.
It beat out Amamato Inazuma.
Sekikusa no Sainon, which got extended.
The second season of Shokugeki no Soma it beat out. Just fucking horrible.
Absolutely horrible. And all these deserve to continue. I would love to see Taboo Tattoo continue, as much as it pains me to watch sometimes. I want to continue watching Kuro Makuro.
By the way, what the hell happened with subgroups in Karamakuro? We'll have to wait for it to be released, I guess, to continue. What's Karamakuro? The hype train still rolls on. Have to get that out there.
Tales of Stereo. That might not come back.
No, it will.
No, they're taking a break on that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, there's a second season coming out next year.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
ReZero still isn't done. That should come back in the soon future.
Can't wait for that. Yep.
But because Ange Verge, some of these may not continue.
Yeah.
Because,
Which is a crying shame.
Yeah.
Because they made a bid to get DVD sales because of fan service, and it surprising, at least to me, it was surprising that it worked. I guess otaku really are that desperate.
Well, the public wants, I guess. But, yeah.
And here we would interject a skit for a weeboo fanatic, but thinking about it, we actually don't have enough paraphernalia to weeb out.
We really don't, actually. But the majority of like figurines and wall scrolls and whatnot,
Anime,
you see it.
Yeah, anime paraphernalia that we own is on set right now.
Yeah, we either wear it on set or it's on the set.
Anyway, so another thing that I personally don't like seeing in anime that can push it into the ugly territory is the trope defeat means friendship. I hate that trope. So bad do I hate that trope. Because it's used so often, and often it's used so poorly.
Fair enough. I actually have to give like a personal example. So we were just riding down to the mall, and just out of nowhere, this old drunken or loaded geezer just yells at us like he wants to fight. Now, nothing else happened after that. We just drove on and went about our business. But I highly doubt that if you were in that situation and you got out of your car and you two started beating the crap out of each other, that you would be friends afterwards. I highly doubt that. That happens in anime all the time.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, strangers who have to fight each other, beat the crap out of each other for several episodes if it's Dragon Ball Z, and then they're friends afterwards.
Now, when it comes to sports anime, it can be a little different.
Well, sports are inherently a much friendlier competition than combat.
Yeah. Let's say, I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but in Keijo, right? Nozomi ends up beating a girl that she was, more or less the bane of her existence. At least, this might come up later, but one girl ends up being like the really bad person, and after Nozomi beats her and shows to be the better person and whatnot, and you end up getting the respect of said bad person, that's more or less understandable. But I don't think friendship should be in that equation there. Respect, yes.
So A series that I thought did it well was Shokugeki no Soma, especially in Nino Sara, towards the end of the autumn elections. Mm-hmm. You have the fight between Soma and Ryo and Akira.
Yeah, three-way.
And they end up starting to hang out afterwards, but they're not friends.
They're more like...
They're friendly rivals. And honestly, sometimes you can leave off the friendly from that.
They're more like colleagues, because in the end, they're all going to be chefs.
Yeah.
So it's like professionals kind of exchanging opinions with each other.
But it also does it rather poorly sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Because like with that one guy from earlier in the season, Subaru, where he would literally go after people's pride and try to ruin people as chefs, and they almost give him a free pass afterwards. Like, he's not friends with anybody, but nobody calls him out on his shit.
Well, they figured that his defeat... I guess they figured that his defeat at the hands of Soma did that for them. Perhaps.
Yeah. Or like this season in Keijo, the one girl with the booby hypnosis.
Oh, meow.
It really irritates me that they give her a free pass on that, because it was basically cheating. Like, Ujime basically disqualified her because she used that forbidden move. And but in the most recent episode where the spoiler alert, where the girls from 309 are in the elite class, they're basically still like friendly with her. But I mean, imagine, we've all played sports. Imagine you had a competitor, even somebody who was on your team, who openly cheated.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
I'd feel pretty sour about it. I'd be pretty pissed.
Well, it'd be pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean, like say, using football as an example, the guy, is cheating and all that stuff, racks up penalty yards that cost the team the game, then yeah, everyone would be salty against that person.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say in high school sports, but like, say if you put yourself in the mentality of a higher level of sports, where you found out that one of your teammates was doing performance-enhancing drugs or shaving points or something like that, I'd feel pissed.
Well,
I would be pissed. I would probably not talk to that person ever.
Well, okay. Openly, like, breaking the rules against that might be one thing, but I think when they mean like forbidden technique, it'd be kind of like head-butting or
chop blocking
or taking a groin shot.
Yeah, or I don't know. I just, or like, actually, I got a perfect example for that when I played semi-pro football. I had a guy who kept chop blocking me over and over and over. Finally, he got a warning for it, did it again, he got ejected from the game.
Right.
He showed back up again for the team handshake, and my team almost killed him. You're doing something that can, negatively affect your competitors. Like in the case of the booby hypnosis, imagine if the rescue swimmers hadn't been fast enough and all three of those girls drowned.
Or in the case of a chop block, it's openly against the rules.
Yeah, it's openly against the rules because it can seriously injure somebody.
Yeah, with the booby hypnosis, it's kind of in a gray area. They call it a forbidden technique, but they don't come out outright and say that it's illegal.
Yeah.
It'd be like, something illegal in Cage would be like, I don't know, carrying around a can of Pam and just spraying it in front of your opponents. Which I'm surprised no one's tried yet, right?
But yeah, I don't know. Another one where I felt that was handled really poorly. Actually, so I'm going to bring up two examples here. So in Ao no Kanata no 4 Rhythm.
I was going to bring that one up for you.
The birdcage.
The birdcage.
I don't think it was the birdcage.
Oh.
The problem with Ao no Kanata wasn't necessarily the birdcage, it was the way that they portrayed them, the way that they carried themselves, and the fact that she used a modded pair of gear.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Like, modded to hell and back. That shouldn't be tournament legal.
Okay.
Period. Dot.
So that's why. Well, at best, it's questionable, but also the attitude of what's her nuts.
Yeah, it's kind of the attitude on top of the actual, what I consider to be openly cheating.
Yeah,
It may
okay.
not have been in the rule book, but it should have been fucking obvious.
It kind of goes against the spirit of the sport. I mean, we actually did talk about this. It's like the 1-3-1 formation in hockey.
Yeah.
It's purely defensive. There's no action that comes out of it. It makes the game boring. Kind of goes against the purpose of the game.
Yeah. The other example I wanted to bring up was actually in Archetypes,
Oh, okay.
where you get the entire school literally chanting for Icky's death.
Okay. Oh my god.
Not just his defeat, literally his death.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and starts teaching some of them swordsmanship in the next episode. Holy shit.
Is he a saint?
Right?
No.
No, he's just stupid. Sometimes.
That stereotypical really nice guy.
Yeah.
Nice almost to a fault. I mean, if something like that even remotely happened, like say in the real world, just the consequences of it would be just dire.
I'm a really nice guy. I'm a very, very nice guy. Really?
You okay there? I mean, your head on too tight?
We believe you.
Assholes, all of you. But generally, I'm a nice guy. I don't try to be violent, but when you push me in any sort of way, I have no problems becoming that way.
I think that would go for most people.
Yeah. If I was Nikki's situation, those people would be dead. If I was in what's her name from Ano Kanata, if I was in that position, she'd probably not get up or she'd be hospitalized.
There would be some frustration flowing over, that's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, if I were in Nikki's situation, I'd just flip off the crowd. Give like the DX crotch chop.
Yeah,
Or
well,
something.
in Icky's situation, afterwards somebody comes up to ask for swordsmanship lessons, I would literally go,
No.
who the fuck do you think you're talking to? You don't deserve to talk to me.
If it was anyone else besides, if anyone else came up to me besides Shizuku or Stella, I'd just slap them.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Boom, and not even talk to them, just pimp hand. Nope.
What are you doing?
Bitch, get off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nobody in this school has the right to talk to me. Go
Yeah.
fuck yourselves.
Yeah, you
All of
literally wished for my death. You were chanting for it, like in the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah.
No,
Literally
fuck
go
you.
fuck yourself.
Right.
Like chop off your sexual organs and literally go fuck yourself.
Damn.
But and then in Ano Kanata no For Rhythm, if I was in that situation, I'm not becoming friends with those people. I'm not becoming friends with those girls. It's, you're cheaters. I don't want anything to do with you.
You're cheaters. You're a disgrace to the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised like a tournament committee or whoever governs the sport of flying circus doesn't disqualify him on principle.
Yeah.
Or at least give him a warning. They do no such thing in that anime.
Yeah. Or, in the case of real life sports, that would be a rule change.
That
You
would be
would
a rule
literally
change.
have a rule named after you.
The birdcage rule. Which actually, admittedly, is kind of a compliment, but
Yeah.
It's a backhanded compliment.
a backhanded compliment.
Pretty
And,
much.
yeah.
I mean, it would literally be like right after that tournament, at their yearly meeting or whatever, they would meet up and go, hey, this happened in this tournament. This can't happen ever again because that's cheating.
There you go. Voted in, rule
is,
change.
Yeah, that is unfair advantage.
It's a loophole that they found and exploited.
Yeah. So it may not be openly cheating at the moment that the anime was, but it's definitely one of those things that you go, all right, come on now.
Yeah. But the fact that they don't do anything about it.
It's not a rule. It's not a written rule because it's an unwritten rule.
Sportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's,
Yeah,
an
it goes in the
unwritten,
sport.
it's an unwritten rule across all sportsmanship.
Sportsmanship itself is an unwritten rule, but it's a rule.
Like,
nonetheless.
I actually think that there are penalties and fines that you can incur for breaking sportsmanlike conduct outside of sportsmanship. Boxing, for example. You can incur fines for causing fights outside of.
That's true. I mean, let's see, in the case of combat sports, a state athletic commission can fine you for not making weight because that's what you're actually contractually obligated to. You're going to be at this weight, fight this person at this time in this place. The fight will be governed by these people.
Or like, say you accidentally meet up with your next opponent and you end up getting into a fight like on the street with them.
Yeah.
That can actually cause.
Well, you can
fines.
actually be kicked out of the fucking sport for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to cost your promoters, money if one or both of you is incapable of putting on the fight that they promised the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just bad all around.
But yeah. Okay. I guess kind of moving a little bit on, but still not moving on too much because we're going to be talking about the series again that we just talked about. One that really gets under my skin is warfing characters.
Sometimes I feel the need for it, but you have to do it right.
And it's done very often as well. So that kind of makes it a little.
Take
You get
Rocket
leery.
Akishi. You knew that Shizuku was going to lose her fight.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that.
Duh.
I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. The way that they made her lose the fight is what I always had a problem with. And actually, we probably shouldn't get into this too much because Zero and I have very differing opinions on the fight. But at the end of the day, for me, it was a poor example of warfing and one that really cheapened the character and honestly cheapened the series for me.
I actually think that it was mainly down to that last technique, quote unquote, that never actually came back up.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Anyway, going to Ao Kanata no for Rhythm, which is one that I think that we can more agree on, is when you have the birdcage technique again with what's her name, Asuka, I believe.
I thought Asuka was the main character.
Oh, was Asuka the main character?
Yeah.
It's been a while since we watched that series. The one
And
with the yellow.
What an impression.
The one with the
Right.
yellow suit. The one that was already in the school. I forget her name. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The one who was way more into Flying Circus.
The more advanced
than
one.
Asuka
Yeah,
was.
right.
I always had a problem with the way that they did her match against the birdcage people.
Because you have a lot.
Because basically you have this character that worked so hard, for where they were, and then you basically spit in their face. Now, granted, that does happen in real life where you work really, really hard and then you end up coming in last place or whatever. Somebody has to come in last place. It's fine.
Yeah.
But in the confines of a story, at least make it somewhat of a match.
Yeah. Instead of just being, what was the score? Like 24-0.
Yeah, instead of being blanked.
Well, yeah, which is a normal score in Flying Circus would be like 3-2.
Yeah.
So just.
Yeah.
No.
That was painful.
Literally, it was a low-level CPU going up against
Watson.
going up against somebody who made their team all 999s, or all 99 level, in like Madden or something.
Yeah. Or like a pocket calculator going up against Watson in a game of chess.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's so ridiculous, and again, I felt it really spat in the face of the character and cheapened the character, and honestly cheapened the story for me too.
Yep.
No, not that the story was all that deep to begin with, honestly.
I enjoyed it.
Still enjoyable, yes, but it wasn't like... You wouldn't expect anything of Shakespearean quality out of it, shall we say. I don't know. It wasn't going to be like magnificent. It was going to be all right at best.
I think that we can segue that into our next, maybe last. I don't know if you guys have any more to talk about, but last one that I have to talk about: cliches.
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 Good segue. Awkward build up to the cliche, to the segue, but a good, nice segue.
Cliche. Awkward to the cliche.
A cliche, awkward cliche.
Anyway, we had what was that?
Sorry, dropping.
God, what was that? That Bahamut.
Muhai no Bahamut.
Saijaku Muhai no Bahamut.
Saijaku Muhai no Bahamut.
Oh man.
The thing that made that series really, really bad for me was cliches.
And you get it in the opening scene of the first episode.
Oh, let's see. Main character's running on a roof. He's
exactly.
probably going to fall into a building and come up upon the main female, and she's naked.
Yeah, and here we go. Lux just stamps on the one weak spot in this roof that causes him to fall directly in the baths.
Might I add that the one weak spot in the roof on a completely pristine building just so happens to have one weak spot in the bath roof that would allow somebody who weighs, I don't know, probably 100 pounds soaking wet to fall directly through into the bottom level of the building.
I'm not saying it's unlikely, but I think I'd stand a better chance of winning the lotto and an Oscar on the same fucking day.
And what the fuck was he doing on the roof in the first place?
They never went into that. He was just running for no fucking reason.
I think he was chasing like a cat or something like that.
That makes it worse.
I think he was doing some sort of odd job, because that's what he was doing in the beginning of the series.
Well, I wish they would have explained it. Try to explain that shit.
But other portions of Saijaku Muhai no Bahamut that were really just randomly cliche.
Yeah, that was definitely a series that started as it meant to go on, and it did.
I mean, you had another character that started off really hating the main character and then somehow falling in love with him.
Defeat means friendship. Oh, I have to do this. Friendship again?
Pretty much.
Let's see the stereotypical Syndra.
Here's a full stop here, I guess. Here's where I have to talk about Sundara, because I like Sundara typically, but there are really bad ways to do it. So you get the ones like, say, Luis.
Okay. Familiar Zero.
Yeah, from the Familiar Zero, where she is overly abusive to the main character for no particular reason. And that's really bad. And then you get something like Taiga in Toradora, where she is verbally abusive, which fits under Sundara, but the only time that she's really physically abusive is in that first episode, and she more or less has a reason to do it, even if it's not exactly the smartest reason in the world.
Well, I think Now also had those moments. She kind of had that standoffish Cinderella-esque vibe to it, but again, she had those weird moments that it didn't define her character though.
Well, the examples you all given, good, bad, or ugly, where would you place them in terms of tsundere characters?
Like Luis is probably my least favorite tsundere.
Oh wow, okay.
Like that type is my least favorite. I don't particularly care for the just straight abusive characters for no particular reason.
Yep.
Whereas, a character like Taiga, I actually really like. But that's also because she shows a lot of growth over the series too.
Well, also her violence could be a little bit over the top because there's a fair bit of comedy in Toward Nowhere to begin with.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it a little bit all right.
Well, and she's not just straight abusive to Ryuji either.
Oh no.
Like there's that one part in the beginning when she tries to kill him with a bokken, but other than that, I mean, it's mostly just like, damn it. Well, harder, but
right.
Something like that. It's not like straight up motherfucker, beat him with a fucking riding crop or something.
But what was her name from Isuka?
Isuka.
Yeah, wasn't she a Cinderella?
Isuka. Like the character Isuka. Or no, actually that wasn't her name, was it? That was her true name.
That was her real name. I forgot what her everyday name
It
was.
started with like a she. I can't remember. Anyway,
the main female.
The main female from Isuka was a bad tsundere because she didn't show any growth over the series, and she would end up just being like straight bitchy and abusive,
and then try to flip it around all of a sudden to
try to flip it around. Now that series falls directly in the
that's an
category.
ugly anime.
Yeah,
there was nothing good about it.
So it doesn't really fit under Defeat Means Friendship, but God, what's her name? Suseri in that anime?
Thunder Cuntus Maximus.
I really hate that character. She, ever since she was introduced, she goes out of her way to sabotage the main characters and try to blame everything on the main characters. And she even goes so far to try to sabotage them that she gets her own people killed. She literally gets several people killed and then tries to flip it around on the main characters again. And it's like
just to make herself look better.
And then suddenly the main characters just give her a pass. Like,
so not just them, everyone gives her a pass.
Yeah, it's like, I guess you were abused as a child or whatever, so you must be okay.
No, say, all right.
Or whatever the fuck the story was. I can't even remember. I tried to get that stupid fucking story out of my brain.
Well, the reason Suseri's being so petty and trying to sabotage, damn it, what's her nuts and company, is that she's trying to be the successor of a family of exorcists. So making herself look better, kind of improves her standing with the family, yada yada. But you would think that the family would catch on to her shit and be like, no, fuck you. You've gotten our own people killed. That's not the sign of a good leader. And what's worse, you did it just to make yourself look better? The hell? Get the fuck out. Seriously.
Another horrible example, I think. 100. Claire
and 100.
The
Hime-dera.
That's
in terms of Deras.
I like Hime-deras even less than I like Yanderas, which I don't like Yanderas hardly at all.
Damn.
So
you're beneath a serial killer.
Yes, you're beneath a serial killer.
Ouch. You're a rich bitch girl.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just she is a perfect example of several of my bad qualities in anime all rolled into one character. You get the political aspect of her abusing her power
Right.
as the student council president or whatever the fuck she was. You get the whole defeat means wanting to have sex with the main character.
You're genetically superior. Please give me your babies.
Bad fan service, in my opinion. I don't like her character design at all. But that's more of a personal thing.
Spaghetti head.
Yeah. And then you get this, this Hime-Dera personality, and when it becomes very obvious that the main character likes Amelia, when it becomes very obvious that the main character likes Amelia, she keeps on trying to push the issue. I hate Claire. And you can pretty much bring that into almost any harem series that has a Hime-Dera. The series that 100 is blatantly ripping off, Infinite Stratus.
Yes.
You have a Hime-Dera character in that. I forget her name, but
What an impact she has made.
yeah, she's literally my least favorite one of the harem. But the girl from Britain, a literal example of defeat means friendship. Like pretty much.
Charlotte?
No, Charlotte's the French one. I like Charlotte. So it's like carbon copy almost. Except for the fact that she's not the student council president, it's almost a carbon copy to Claire. Because she fights the main character in the first episode and gets beat, and then suddenly wants his nuts. Acts almost exactly the same.
Maybe a slightly different setting, but another one I'm thinking of perhaps is Danmachi. Belle is set on eyes. His goddess doesn't approve.
His goddess is a dumb bitch who is way too popular.
I want more
There she
Lily.
I want more eyes.
Well, at least Ice is getting a spin-off series.
Yeah.
Yes. Lily's turn will come in fanfiction circles.
Not even.
Nope.
Really?
Pretty much all the fan fiction and doujinshi are all about
Hestia.
Hestia.
Chestia.
Hesty.
Stinky. But yeah, I mean, that's another one. It's not the Hime-Dera, type thing. But that's another one where it's just like, that character.
One of the marks of a bad female character.
I think
Sometimes clinginess can be okay.
Sometimes it's adorable.
Cute. Sometimes it's adorable. Sometimes it's overbearing.
That can almost be on like even as specific as a scene by scene basis. Last episode of Toradora, Taiga, wrapped in the blanket one more time. That is one of the most adorable romantic scenes I've seen in anime. Other times, now forget about it.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes back to like one of the good aspects I look is for strong characters, but badly written characters can really be a bad point for a series too. Sometimes you can get past them, but sometimes they almost ruin the series, like Hestia almost does for me with Danmachi.
I think that something that could be said about the characters that we like, dislike, and absolutely despise are the, when you can literally say one word about a character and define it, period, dot.
Clingy. Hestia.
Ugly. Like that's just straight up ugly.
Yeah,
Her clinginess is ugly.
Yeah.
There's only one other facet to Hestia, and that is she is very kind towards Belle. And she will do a lot for him. That is the only other facet.
And boobs.
And boobs.
Because boobs.
But that's not really a good facet.
Lolly big boobs.
That's not really a good facet.
That's only a good facet to a certain part of the population.
But when you think about the other characters that we are surrounded by in our room, how many facets of character development, of just different things that you can say about each character. There's a lot that you can talk about a character.
They have depth to them, I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even Yuki.
Especially Yuki. Jeez. Tragic backstory there much?
That character was literally put in there for the last 10 episodes.
Yeah, she's almost like a one-shot tragic heroine.
Yeah.
But they just extended it out to the Mother's Rosario arc. So there you go.
But that
Good
character
example.
is amazing.
In that short time, you bond with the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good example. Great example, actually.
Great example.
Okay. Great character development. Satsuki. You just think that she's the Himedera student council president that you see in just about every combat high school anime out there. Going all the way back to the genre. But she really does change when her and Ryuko find out who the real enemy is. And then you see her progress. She starts to rail against the system that raised her, and it's beautiful.
Actually, I don't even think that it starts when that enemy is apparent. I think it starts way back when you get to hear about her mom.
Okay.
You get to hear just these little tidbits of information.
When you first see Ragyo.
Like, there's so much more to this character. Oh my god, it's exciting.
Yeah. And then you get the Mama Bad Touch scene. It makes you feel sorry for the poor girl, honestly. It makes me feel sorry for her. It's like, messed up, but again,
But I think that when you can start just saying, this character is this Dara or this Dara.
Or has this personality trait, and then have that trait define them as a character.
I mean, I like things with a lot of personality, not just one or two little facets.
Okay.
Now has a lot of things going on with her. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, she can be snarky, she can be a little bitchy at times.
She'd fit right into our group.
Yeah, but other times she's an absolute sweetheart.
Yep.
A lot of fun, and flaws, perks, good and bad, human.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, I think that's really about all I had.
So yeah, that's the cliches versus not cliche. Like
Those are some cliches.
You can affix cliches to all these characters, but in the end, there's so much more to them than what people.
Yeah. And I mean, just like cliches, period, we're not even close to scratching the tip of that iceberg.
Nope.
So, sorry.
Well, yeah, as far as characters go, it's okay to start with a personality trait or a character archetype or a cliche, but it's how you build from there and what that character, how that character grows from that point. So if you just have like the one defining characteristic and then that's pretty much it, then that character becomes boring and becomes honestly cancerous to the story.
I think that Charlotte versus, because Charlotte was all about gathering up these
these kids with superpowers. Or they call
so
them
it was really episodic. It was really a lot more character driven, but you had this nice juicy plot versus something like Trickster, which is very episodic, very character based, and solving the case type stuff. At its core, these two are essentially the same at its roots, but the characters really brought out Charlotte as an amazing series, but really
ruined it for
Poor Tricksters. And Trickster is an ugly anime now.
I would file it more under bad, but
Well,
bad. Well, bad enough for us to drop it.
bad anime, some ugly ass characters.
and we're not talking about their appearance. Anyway,
Flat. Absolutely. One thing that you can say about each character, and it's so horrible.
Unappealing.
unappealing, yeah.
Unappealing, yeah.
Anyway, I think that we've.
I did miss one, but I did miss one. I was gonna talk about thick plots, and I didn't mean boobs.
I like thick plots, and I cannot lie.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think we've talked far too long.
we will continue this, actually. We plan on making The Good, the Bad, the Otaku a series here on Otaku Saga Talks. Mainly because, as I said,
how long this particular episode is.
there's a lot to go into, and we're gonna have to chunk this up into a series.
Yep.
So expect more. On this topic.
The good.
The bad.
And the Otaku. Wah, wah, wah.